4 undefeated teams fell on Saturday, and one quarterback's performance might just launch him into the Heisman conversation. So we're talking college football week 8. What have we learned? Who's getting fired? And we'll give you our Nitro CFB top 10. This is the Nitro College Football Show. I'm Burl.
And I'm Streit.
And like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the best college football talk. Week 8. It was a wild week. It was a good week. It was a great week for Georgia. Very resilient win. I feel like we say that every week.
I was wrong. And I've never been so happy to be wrong, in a long time. I picked Georgia to lose. The whole country picked us to win, and I picked us to lose. So it doesn't happen very often, but I'm okay with being wrong, because if it's going to be wrong, but you feel this right, it's all good in my book.
I thought it was hilarious because the whole country never picks Georgia in big games. Like not the whole country. Like it's a good mix.
It was dang near the whole country. It was everybody on College game day, I think, right?
I think it was just the SEC game day that had it split down the middle. I think that's the only one.
Yeah. I think I saw like 24/7 does their compiling of all the national picks and everything, and I think it was like 27 picks for Georgia and 3 for Ole Miss. I was like, I don't know how good I feel like in a game where like they're the higher ranked team and undefeated. Like it's just a little bit off, but hey, like I said to you in my first text I said at the end of the game, what did I say? Vegas always knows.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was like, one of the biggest reasons I ended up picking Georgia was because of the Vegas line, because they know stuff that we don't. Whatever that stuff is, won it.
they know, man. It's weird, but hey, there's a reason. Somebody once said this. There's a reason that they keep building big casinos in Vegas and not tiny little casinos.
That's true. That is true. So what did we learn this weekend? We learned Georgia has a quarterback, and like you said previously last week, Georgia's a cockroach and they just refuse to die.
Yep, they will not die. As Kirby said in the post game, hard to kill.
Yeah, so now I'm just thinking of, for our thumbnails, just doing a bunch of Steven Seagal movie.
Just Kirby's head, like just AI animated in there.
It'll be like TNA, all their pay-per-views.
Oh man,
I love it. Yeah, hard to kill.
Yeah. What else did we learn this weekend? Well, we learned today that Florida doesn't have a coach anymore.
Yeah, and so a big domino to fall. So 2 weeks in a row, right? First Franklin, now Napier. Who else do you think is on the block?
I mean, they said there were reports that Florida State met today. They didn't make a decision apparently, but that their higher ups were meeting on Norvell. Now there was a Norvell fire today. It was the coach of Colorado State, not Mike Norvell down at Florida State. But you got to think, 4 straight losses after including going out and losing to Stanford, like you got to think that's coming. If it's not this week, it's coming quick. So I think that's probably the next one. Obviously, Hugh Freeze ain't going to survive. Another game that they probably should have won, but they didn't.
So I sent you this earlier, but I thought it was hilarious. It was the most. I said it was the most Auburn thing ever. Someone had tweeted that Auburn is just the best 4-loss team in the country.
Oh, that's an Auburn thing.
I mean, just immediately first thing comes to my mind. That is such an Auburn thing.
Oh, bless them. Bless Auburn.
Yeah, you hate to see it, right? You hate to see it.
Yeah. But, I told you this. This was an interesting week for me. I was camping with my son out in the woods yesterday. My phone was on like no battery. So like following along with the game yesterday, it was turn on my phone, let the phone power up, check this, get the app up, check the score, be infuriated because once again, we couldn't stop them, and then turn the phone back off and hope the next time I turned it on that we'd gotten to stop. And it just kept not happening. Over and over.
Yes.
Over.
So you're out in the woods. You were missing all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was weird. Woods are nice and relaxing, but it was interesting because we came home late last night because we'd spent the night Friday. It was supposed to rain this morning. And so, of course, I'd follow on the game. I knew what happened, but I got to watch the game last night without the pressure of being in the game. I already knew what was going to happen, but I hadn't seen everything.
The journey.
Right. Yeah. Because I wasn't on my phone watching highlights. My phone was dead. So I was literally just checking the score, like minimally. So
it's kind of like watching WWE when the end is not in doubt, but you want to see how it gets there.
Yeah. Or yeah. or when they have one of these pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia that I sure as hell ain't watching at 8.
Oh yeah, that you miss. And you catch it 8 hours later.
Right. Right. But yeah, so you wanna dig in on Georgia Ole Miss?
Sure. So initial reaction to this game. So you said you watched it today.
I watched it last night. I watched it last night when I got home. I was tired, but I was like, I'm going to watch the game.
What time did you get home?
Pulled in about 10:30. So, and I'd slept about 4 hours the night before, and then hiked and walked for 16 miles, 35,000 steps on Saturday. So I was totally exhausted, but I was like, I'm going to watch the game before I go to bed. So I did. Yes. Time out.
Clapping for you.
But yeah, so I got home, I turned on the game, and obviously, knowing the score, knowing what happened in the game, I was expecting one thing, but I kind of saw some different things, right? Because I wasn't emotional about the defense. So I've got some ideas about what this means for Georgia, what this team is, but I'll get to those in a minute. But let me just start by saying what an amazing game this was for Mike Bobo, for Gunnar Stockton and the Georgia offense.
Best offensive performance I can ever remember. Just
outside of the kneel down, perfect. 8 for 8 scoring. Yes, there were 3 field goals in there, but you know what? It kept the momentum with Georgia going. And you kind of felt like this was one of those games that whoever had the ball last was going to win. Well, Ole Miss had a chance to tie it up there at the end. So kind of in that but because of the deficiencies of Georgia's defense, and we'll get to that, without this performance of the offense, they don't win the game. So what this has done is this has changed the perception of the Georgia offense. For years, Georgia has been a defensive football team that's had some nice pieces on offense that has been able to score. But maybe we're understanding that this year we don't have the horses on defense. We've got talent, no doubt, but it's just not developed. But maybe we do on offense. And maybe this offense, and people are talking because we saw Carson Beck throw 4 picks and Miami lost on Friday. Gunnar Stockton may not be as talented as Carson Beck was, but maybe in this offense he's better by what he does do on the field.
I don't know. I'm saying he's not as talented. I don't know if that's true.
Maybe.
I mean, what we saw from Carson Beck up until this point in the season is pretty much what you saw from Carson Beck last year at Georgia.
True.
Except at Georgia, he only threw 3 interceptions in a game, not 4.
Right. So, but maybe let's talk a little bit about what Gunnar Stockton symbolizes and how the Georgia offense is this year. So Georgia yesterday ran for 221 yards on the ground and passed for 289 yards. That's the balance that you want. You want a team that can move the football and pass it down the field. And so last year, they had to throw the ball. They couldn't run the ball. But Gunnar, in that, he is a huge part of that running game. So maybe he is the guy that because of his abilities both to run the ball and throw the football, and sometimes maybe not take as many shots down the field, he is emblematic of what this team is, which is balanced, because that's what he is. He's not going to rely just on the arm, but he's going to not just rely on, on his legs either. He can get the ball down the field, and he makes some gorgeous throws. Now, he has trouble with those passes over the middle. That's where he struggles. But, man, you give that guy a little time and throw it on the sidelines, and he likes to drop it in the bucket.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't think he has trouble throwing it over the middle. I think he has a lack of confidence in throwing it over the middle, because when he does throw it, it's been on point, minus probably that one throw to Oscar Delp where he overshot him.
Yeah, I wouldn't say confidence may be a problem. Maybe it's he gets too geared up on those throws over the middle. That's why, because a lot of times when he does, like that one to Delp, he throws them high, and he throws fastballs when he throws in the middle of the field. It ain't coming out soft.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
He rockets it. And so maybe
the first touchdown to Lawson Lucky. I mean, he drilled that in there. I mean, we've seen him do that with Zachariah Branch, just running slants, just drills it in there.
Yeah. So, like I said, this was the Gunnar Stockton has made the country take notice of him. It was a nice game against Tennessee. He played great in that Tennessee game, but people still kind of had their doubts. The narrative this morning, this Gunnar Stockton, he's a player. And in this Georgia offense, he fits amazingly. And what the next part of this, and the reason that this game was such a Mike Bobo game, a perfect Mike Bobo game, was for Georgia for years. Georgia fans love to talk about the tight end position. We had Brock Bowers, best tight end in college football history, amazing. But it really was the Brock Bowers show. We had Darnell, who blocked, big guy. This was the tight end game that we have been waiting for. It is. Like, what there was. So between Lucky had 5 catches, 3 touchdowns, great performance by him. Delp had 4 catches, 42 yards, looked great. Elias Williams had 1 target, but he drew a PI, so it got 15 yards. So there was a couple incompletions to Lucky and Delp in there, but between those 3 guys, our tight ends, I think there were 12 targets, at least to the tight ends. They accounted for 85 yards, 3 touchdowns, 9 catches, plus 15 yards in penalty. That's huge.
I mean, that's just about half of all the targets.
Right. It was huge. And in a game when you lost on your very first offensive drive, you lost your best receiver, your best downfield receiver. How huge is that to get those tight ends who can run a little bit down the middle of the field open and going? How much did that take pressure off Branch to be outside so that he gets another 9 catches and is doing his magic where he makes people miss?
Man,
huge.
That juke he had.
Yeah, it was like a video game where you just stop.
It reminded me of like the old Chris Berman days when they were doing the fastest 2 minutes in football, and he was like, whoop.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great juke. So yes, the sad news out of that is, yes, we lost Colby Young. Broken leg, probably out for the season. Maybe he gets back late, maybe bowl game, But what does that mean? Well, Noah Thomas is going to have to step up his game. I think he's going to have to start getting his targets. But if not, at least we got an answer, and it's the tight ends.
Yeah, I think we're going to be fine at receiver. I think you lose a little bit of leadership and probably toughness on the blocking in the run game. And he was a big guy receiver, tall guy, but Georgia loved to still throw screens to him because he could truck people.
Yeah. Well, you've got CJ Wiley, freshman. Maybe it's time to start getting him involved. He's a big body. Haven't seen much of him yet. But yeah, be excited to get him in there and just see what they kind of do. But, outside of that, the receiving room itself continues to look good. Branch, like we talked about, just keeps making plays in the screens, down the field, whatever you ask him to do. That guy has stepped up this year. Had high expectations for him coming in, but the whole thing was he's kind of a gadget guy. He's a punt returner, whatever. Dude's been awesome. Whatever the money was, he's been worth it. And then in the receiving room, the last person I want to talk about, 4 touches in this game, but incredibly impactful 4 touches, that went for 76 yards, and that's Dylan Bell. We are finally seeing Dylan Bell back to what Dylan Bell is best at. A little bit in the running game, and a little bit in the passing game. And that catch that he made in the fourth quarter, it was a gorgeous throw by Gunner, but Dylan Bell, I don't know why they didn't get called for PI because that guy was grabbing him all over the place. But man, that adjustment, huge play. Huge play. So great game for
Yeah.
Dylan Bell. Really happy to see him getting back involved.
I mean, just making plays. I mean, besides it just being like a great throw, great catch, I mean, he's really stepped up and got back to form where he was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's awesome
when
to
he was
see.
in that, like I said, when he was in the spot that he really is best at. Because last year he was forced to be a 1. And Dylan Bell is a good player, but he's not going to beat you crazy downfield. He's just not. He is better as a guy that you can fit in to make plays, as a playmaker versus a guy that's going to be relied on to be a 1 or 2 in targets on your team.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why you have all the guys you got in the portal. The receiver room is absolutely stacked. I mean, we got to have Noah Thomas step up, though. That's honestly a big question mark. But if he doesn't, I think we'll still be okay. But it helps having that guy you can throw a fade to, a back shoulder when you need to, and because that's what Colby Young's primary job was.
Right. The good news, if anything, we got the bye this week. So if you want to move Noah Thomas more into that Colby Young role, you got a couple weeks to do it and figure it out. And then you can, like I said, then you can work in CJ Wiley, Talon Taylor's, back from his injury or whatever. You can work those freshman receivers in there a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think that'll be good. Maybe we'll see a little bit more Sokovie White.
Yeah, but he doesn't really. I mean, he's what, 5'10",
he's a slot
5'11".
guy.
He's a slot guy. He's more of a branch. Now Branch is playing outside a lot though too, but you need one of the bigger body guys. That's why I think Noah Thomas, CJ Wiley, would be your ideal guys to get in there.
Agreed.
So last thing with the offense, last thing that we, before we move on to talk about some of the deficiencies in the game, the running attack, a gorgeous spread out rushing attack. Nobody broke off anything big or crazy other than Gunner's 22-yard touchdown. But man, for Nate Frazier, averaged 4.5 whatever yards a carry, but this was a really, really good game for Nate Frazier. They were hitting him. They were hitting him and trying to make him fumble. And he held on to the ball. And I'm glad he got that touchdown. And you saw the emotion when he caught that touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Because when he fumbled, earlier in the year, you felt like he might be done. Like he just might have lost his job. And he had a great game. And Chauncey continues to do what he does, make guys miss. And then McCray.
Yeah, he had that 17-yard beautiful run.
Yeah.
That just kind of really broke it open in that drive.
Yeah. And then McCray doing the dirty work. I mean, that might have been the play of the game, right? That 4th down where he gets hit in the backfield and somehow squirts through there. Underappreciated guy, but great in short yardage situation. The Georgia rush game continues to be great.
Let me talk a little bit about Josh McCray. If there is one guy that you need to get a yard, Josh McCray is your guy. He will find a way to get through that pile by hook or by crook. He's not just trying to push the pile and then it stalls. Nope. He's bouncing it, and then he finds a little crease, and then he'll levitate sometimes and get that ball over the line. And that's pretty much what he did on that 4th down.
The best part of that is the picture where McCray has just gotten over the line. He's lying on the ground, and the Ole Miss guy is turning around celebrating.
Yeah. I just during that play, my father-in-law, who's a Ohio State fan, I was telling him, I was like, yeah, that's the kid we got from Illinois. We brought him in to do this one thing, and he does it better than anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving the run game. Love to see Gunner get that long 22-yard touchdown run. That was the moment for him of the game,
Yeah.
I mean, he killed it. The Georgia offense absolutely killed it.
They
Over
did.
500 yards worth of offense.
Yep. 510 to 351. And we need to talk about the Georgia defense and the game overall. But man, like in a game that high scoring, like it was just great. Because like I said, it was ball control too. Time of possession, 37 minutes to 22 minutes. I mean, absolutely blew Ole Miss away in that area. So
yeah, and honestly, that was the biggest key of the game for Georgia, because we saw how quickly Ole Miss could score.
Right. I mean, like, Kiffin even said it in his post game stuff. Georgia had 34 first downs. Ole Miss had 21. Like, if you're giving up that many first downs, that's them moving the ball, holding the ball, resetting the clock. And that's how you end up with a 38 minute to 22 minute time advantage. It's that right there.
And it's awesome. And I think I've said this a couple times, but I think Georgia is potentially the most dangerous team in college football, simply because they have not put together a full 4-quarter game where they showed up and played to their standard all 4 quarters.
Yeah. And they the defense certainly didn't look it for the first 3 quarters of this game. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the defense. So obviously, a lot of the problems that we've seen, that we saw in the first half at Auburn, that we saw at Alabama, are still there in this game. The inability to get off the field on third down, the bad tackling that we've seen, couple pass interference calls, all of those things. But when I watched the replay, what I saw a little more than that was that Ole Miss really just schemed the hell out of Georgia. And I kind of feel like that's kind of what's been happening. Like you saw that in Alabama too. And you saw it with Auburn. Teams have figured out whatever it is that Georgia does early in games. They've just figured it out. And it's hard for a team to change, kind of what they do. Now, Georgia has an off week here, so maybe they will make some changes. And like Kirby said, people keep every week this stuff. People are like, oh, Kirby, your great halftime adjustments. Kirby's like, we don't make that many halftime adjustments. You can't. It's just that the plays start playing better. They start working. I think he's right to a certain point, but I think the difference here in this game was that there in the fourth quarter, Georgia kind of got some momentum, and they finally started to get a little bit of pressure on Chambliss. Yes. And Trinidad Chambliss played great. He's a good football player, but he's not experienced in playing on the road in the SEC. And he wilted at the wrong time. He made the right decisions, but there in the fourth, made some bad throws. And in a game where they had scored 5 times, 5 drives, 5 touchdowns, all of them 65 yards or more, to go 3 straight drives with nothing that consisted of a grand total of, a 3 and out, a 3 and out, 1 first down, and then turnover on downs. 11 plays in that fourth quarter, 11 yards.
Which is amazing by Kirby and the Georgia defense.
Right.
Because up until that point, Ole Miss had scored a touchdown on every single drive.
Correct.
Every single drive. And Georgia's defense, the Georgia team, it wasn't just the defense, it was also the offensive game plan of just grinding the ball and grinding the clock out. 17-0 in the fourth quarter. Right.
It's fantastic. And at some point, you hope that Georgia can figure that out, like you said, and put together a 4-quarter game of it. But they did it. They did it similar to Auburn last week, where they just figure it out and they just choke you out. And when they do that, when the defense figures it out and they start stopping you, the offense is good enough. Kirby has this offense tuned to the point where it does the death march. It sucks the life out of you. And it's weird. Like, I think Kirby knows his defense. He's said it. This defense is young and they are not as good and not playing as well. But he knows that he has talent. So he knows that at some point they are going to make stops. Right? So he knows that
Yeah.
if he can rely on his offense to keep them in it and keep it close, they're going to be around to have a shot to win the game. He knows that. It's not like I know my defense is going to go out here and not play good. But he knows that his offense is good enough that if they control the ball and limit the amount of times that the other team touches it, because look, Ole Miss scored 5 touchdowns, but they hardly had the ball. Like, they didn't have it for a lot of time in scoring those drives. Georgia held the ball, kept them away from it. And it's funny because you've always heard that it's important for teams when they get the ball back, when they're playing a game where the other team's scoring a lot, get the ball back and keep it so your defense can get some rest. Georgia's kind of the opposite of that. This is a team that the defense kind of stays out there a little bit, gives up some yards, gives up some points, but it leaves the offense when
the defense doesn't do themselves any favors.
Right. But by letting up third downs and stuff, the offense isn't immediately pressed back into. The defense doesn't go out there. Offense has a long drive. We scored touchdown. Defense goes there to get 3 and out, and the offense is right back out there again. It's almost like the offense is getting rested by the defense staying out there on the field, which is weird, right? It's weird. But if you notice that when that happens, and then you get to these late games, and they did it against Alabama, even though they didn't lose the game, they were able to drive the ball with the offense methodically in the second half and stop them on defense. They did it against Auburn, and they did it here. That the offense, the defense that they were playing, because the offense was sustaining these longer drives, is worn out. And so, like, it's weird. It's almost a reverse of that. I don't think I've ever seen it before, but maybe allowing the offense to build that confidence and to come back and to build the game going forward is better for how this team is built. It's strange, but the offensive line looks fresh. At the end of the game, they might struggle a little bit early, but they are mauling people at the end.
Yeah, I want to talk about the youngness of this team and what we're witnessing. So starting with the offensive line, 3 freshmen are playing at any moment during any game. And this game is the best the offensive line has looked in 2 years.
It's because we had healthy bodies and we were able to rotate them. Now, they're not all healthy, but they're healthier than they have
enough.
And I know he's been bagged on a lot for the last 2 years because after his sophomore year, he was really good. But having Ernest Green be able to play and function and play, at least, maybe he's not up as good as he was a couple years ago, but at least having him play at a pretty high level this week, man, that helps that line. Because he can be in there at right tackle, which allows you to slide Gaston over to right guard, which allows you to give Glover a break. And then when Green needs a break, you can slide Gaston out to the tackle, and then you can put in Glover. Like, that right side of the line, you're starting freshmen out there a lot, or you're playing with freshmen on that right side of the line. They're getting better every week. They really
are. And just think, if Kirby can keep these guys together over the next few years, this could turn into one of, if not the best offensive line unit that Georgia's ever had. I mean, because Juan Gaston right now is looking like he's going to be an all-timer.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to. We've had some really good O-lines the last few years.
I know, but to have like 3 freshmen playing.
Well, yeah. I mean, but look back when you had Andrew Thomas and Isaiah Wilson, playing as freshmen.
Yeah, those 2. This is one more.
Yeah, but they were playing tackles as freshmen, starting. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. The experience is crazy. Getting those guys in there and getting them to play up.
Because they're young. Gunner still has another year. Bowens is only a sophomore.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a young football team. And that's for sure. But like I said, this game has changed a lot of the perspective. It's weird to hear the conversations this morning. People are understanding what Georgia is. And a lot of times, if you had a team that was having this much struggle on defense, people would be worried. But they're not, because of Kirby. Because Kirby has proven that he can get his team to win these types of games. Georgia is battle-tested, and if they just improve a little bit this second half of the season, man,
If they improve a little bit in the first half,
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, if they can just
seriously,
turn that up just a little bit, like,
yeah, we're Georgia's headed in the right direction. So we talked about the young offensive linemen. Then you got a very young group on defense, very very young group,
yeah,
and we saw that youth make its presence known throughout most of this game, especially in the secondary. PI call after PI call. We just got gashed a few times. And I didn't think that the secondary necessarily played that bad, but it's like you said, we didn't get any pressure on the quarterback until that fourth quarter.
yeah,
That's when it all came together.
yeah.
Because now you had both units working together in unison, and it was a beautiful thing. It was
Yeah.
a beautiful thing.
If I want to pick a couple standouts on defense in this game, DeMello Jones had a really good game, had a huge pass breakup, but really did well, graded out really high, I think, too. And then
He was
Josh
the
Horton.
highest. He graded out highest in
Yeah.
in the game.
And then shout out to Josh Horton. Now, when Georgia picked him up out of the portal out of Miami, people were like, whatever, he's horrible, he's fat, out of shape, whatever. He's been playing. Because I had to look up. I was like, who the heck is 81? Against Auburn. He was getting in a lot. And I was like, he's moving people. Who is 81? Like 81 playing defensive line. But man, that last series there, I mean, he batted the last ball down, but he was moving people. So give me more Josh Horton on the D line.
Yeah. And
give
that
me
was really funny because like 5 minutes before the batted pass, someone on Twitter like tweeted, "When's the last time Georgia batted down a pass?" And then
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
then.
And then, like I said, and give me more DeMello Jones, sophomore out there. He's playing good, and I know they had to shift stuff around with the injuries this week. Like, if you got to move some guys around, do it. And look, as all the flack that Ellis Robinson's getting, he's getting experience. And sometimes, yes, he's making some PIs, but sometimes he makes plays and looks good. He's going to get there. There was a reason he was that highly touted. So stick with him.
And
I think he'll be fine.
And I mean, if you're going to get thrown at a lot, especially in the defense that Georgia plays, where there's a lot of man, a lot of one-on-one, that's bound to happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's out of your control as a defender because you never know how the refs are calling it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's ticky-tack, whoever touches anybody is going to get called. And sometimes it doesn't call anything.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I think he's doing great.
Yeah. And Everett on the other side is not getting thrown at a lot. Everett had a pretty good game outside of the long touchdown where he just took a bad angle and missed the guy. Everett played pretty well. So, yeah, good game for Georgia. I mean, honestly, outside the defense, the only gripe I have is Woodring. Don't kick the ball out of bounds on two back-to-back kickoffs.
What's up with that?
Kirby said it in the post game. He said that when you do that, if you let them start at the 35 versus the 25, the likelihood that they score up, that it goes up like 10 to 15%. It's a crazy number. So just kick the ball in. But I'm glad you made field goals. And one underrated play in this game was Gunnar Stockton getting that last field goal down because that was a horrible snap. And he recovered and got it down and Woodring knocked it through. So
it was really funny. I think he was during his interview after the game. They asked him, what happened with that snap? Like, why was it so bad? He goes, "It wasn't that bad."
Yeah. So if I have a last word on this game, once again, shout out to Gunnar Stockton, who Kirby said in the post game has an oblique injury and didn't practice a couple days last week. And then Kirby said, "Okay, we'll let you play, but you're not going to run." And he goes, "No, coach, I need to run."
Yeah.
He had 59 yards rushing. Obliques hurt.
Well, and I've said this since last year. Georgia's offense is at its best when the quarterback is getting rush yards.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a lot, but providing that threat of a run, that makes Bobo's offense just click.
Right. Yep. So.
But yeah, great game. It's great to be a Georgia Bulldog, as always. Let us know what you think in the comments or in the chat. Chat us up. We're live here, and we're talking dogs. We're talking college football, because it's what we love. It's what we love. And hit that subscribe button if you've made it this far with us. Okay, so we put out a prediction show every week, and this week I want to kind of recap where we're at on our picks, and we can talk through some of the games and how we did. So, Street, this is a rough week for you, man.
It was a rough week, but like I said, I don't mind being wrong when it feels so right.
Yeah, Street went 2 for 4, or 2 and 4. I went 5 and 1, which is pretty good week for me. So that brings the total this year: Street 30, Burl 36. Going into this next week, you're still in striking distance.
Yep. You never know. I could have a 5 and 1 week next week.
You could, and I could have an over. You never know.
Not in this season.
All right. So on the Alabama-Tennessee game, the third Saturday in October, Bama was favored by 8.5, gets the victory, 37-20, covers, and there was no doubt that we both picked Bama. I don't think we picked them to cover, but they won the game. It was a pretty interesting game for Tennessee.
This game is a tale of a single play, really.
Yeah,
so
interception, pick six. Yeah,
I was in the car driving home, listening to this game, and Tennessee drives the ball. Tennessee had tied it up. They kind of got some momentum going. Alabama gets a safety and then a touchdown immediately. So Alabama at this point is up 9. Tennessee has a nice drive. They convert a couple fourth downs. They're down at the 2-yard line. There's 10 seconds left in the half or something. They're at least going to get a field goal. It was a third down or whatever. They tried to run it in the first 2 plays. But Aguilar, they line up in this formation, and they've got 3 tight ends in. And you knew they were going to run it because they're out of timeouts. Aguilar has a tight end open, but he just kind of doesn't throw it hard at him. Like he just kind of and the Alabama guy jumps in front of it, takes it back 100 yards for a touchdown. And that's a game, man. It went from
shades of Sean Jones.
Yeah, I mean, it went from a 9-point game that probably was going to at least be a 6-point game within one to a 17 or a 16-point game, like just like that. And and Tennessee couldn't recover. Like Alabama in that first half, and they had pressured Aguilar like crazy in that first half too. Yanzi Pierre had 3 sacks. They forced that safety. They were getting and putting pressure on Aguilar, but he had just had this nice drive, and just one mistake cost him the game. Alabama was at home, and that was it.
Yep. And now it's time for my weekly rant of how the hell did this Bama team lose to FSU?
No clue.
What the hell?
They were looking ahead to the Georgia game, week 1 of the season.
That is going to be one of the mysteries of my life. Like how it's infuriating because they lose to FSU, and now they just did something that no team has ever done. They beat 4
straight ranked opponents.
4 straight ranked opponents without a bye week in between.
It's crazy. And it's crazy. I have no idea, but they're talented and they're playing well. For Tennessee, I mean, Tennessee is pretty much out of SEC title picture and probably eliminated from playoff contention because there's no way. Like at this point, Georgia would have to lose 2 more games and Bama would have to lose 3 more games in conference just for them to pass Georgia and Bama to get into the SEC championship game. And with those 2 losses to Georgia and Bama, I don't know. It's going to be a muddled picture for SEC teams getting the playoffs. And even if the SEC gets 4 teams in, I don't know if they're going to have the, I don't know if they're going to have the resume because they've struggled with Arkansas. They've had some other close games. So,
Yeah. I mean, you can't look at their schedule and really point to someone that you could say, like, oh, look, they beat them. Who have they beat?
right.
I mean, Syracuse, Mississippi State, Arkansas.
Right.
Should have had Georgia, but shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Missed a field goal, man. It's not Georgia's fault.
Yeah. No, that just means that's why Georgia was better than you that day.
Yep.
Our kicking game is better than your kicking game.
Yes.
All right. We also had Vanderbilt and LSU. This was a fun game. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Street, you picked LSU. I went Vandy, and I was sweating there for a minute, but then Vandy just took care of business.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have been against my better judgment and took LSU because I thought the defense was going to win the game for them. But all the things that we said this whole year about we didn't think LSU was as good. Clemson win kind of looked worse and worse and everything. Man, the problems that they had, the good things that they had been doing didn't happen in this game. Vanderbilt ran the heck out of the ball in this game. 239 yards on the ground. Pavia had 2 rushing touchdowns. He threw for another. Nussmeier, was okay, but I think he threw 2 picks, threw 2 touchdowns, but they just never they got back within 7 points, and then they had a sack, and they ended up, kicking it away and just never got a chance. So LSU, 3rd loss in the year, they may be cooked. Brian Kelly may get fired. We'll see what happened. But the real story here is Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Vanderbilt 6-1.
They're legit. I mean, you have to take them seriously. They're not just a good story anymore.
They're 6-1 for the first time in 75 years.
Crazy.
And they're hosting College Game Day next week. So
I'm actually really excited about that. I think that's pretty cool.
I think it's the first time they've hosted it since like 2008 or something. I remember they hosted Auburn one time for College Game Day. I want to say it was 2008. Was like the last time they did, which is crazy because it's Nashville. Like you would think that they would find a reason just to go there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've arrived. I mean, they beat LSU. I mean, that's a good win. I mean, we'll see how LSU ends up the rest of the year. I think Brian Kelly, his seat has never been hotter.
I think he's coaching for his job next week.
Yeah, I would not be shocked to see if he's the next one on the chopping block, given everything that's there. And yeah, when you look at Vanderbilt's schedule this year, I mean, you got that win, you got a nice win over South Carolina, even though South Carolina's not that great. And even though the score of the Alabama game was 30-14, it was a much closer game than the score.
Right.
Showed.
Yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt was up, 14-0?
Yeah,
14-7?
It was 2 turnovers in the red zone. That's the difference in that game. So I'm excited about that game, the Vanderbilt Missouri. That's gonna be a good one because Missouri, they're fighting uphill right now. All right. So now we get to talk about a game that is finally relevant again. Notre Dame versus USC. Hasn't been relevant in a very long time. This week was a pretty high profile matchup. I thought it was an elimination game for Notre Dame. Essentially, this was really their last chance to truly impress the selection committee.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
And I think they passed the test.
I think what happened is Notre Dame just took a playoff spot from the Big Ten. Like I absolutely, because their 2 losses were what, a combined like 4 or 5 points, whatever it was, nothing.
Yeah.
To ranked teams that are both in the top 10, and then you beat a USC team that was hot coming in, and you did it with what you thought Notre Dame was going to be good at this year, which was strong defense, turn the ball over, and those 2 fantastic running backs.
Yeah, this game was all about them, and
this was
and
all
CJ
about
Carr,
the running backs.
And CJ Carr is killing it.
Yeah. But he was, like I said, this was about the running backs. This was the Love and Price game, man. Like Jeremiah Love, 228 yards rushing. Price, 87 yards rushing, plus the 100-yard kickoff return that really set the game, set them on fire. That set them up. It was a tie game, right? He returns that kickoff return for a touchdown. Notre Dame racks up 306 yards rushing on the ground, like, and it's all Love and Price. They were 305 of it. Like, what a game for those guys that we knew were good. We knew they were going to be good. Notre Dame's hitting their stride, and because of some of the stuff that has shook out, like I said, USC is kind of has moved into the position of the number 3 team in the Big Ten right now, behind or the number 4 team. Sorry, number 4 team behind Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana, and with Penn State kind of falling out of the way. I see this as Notre Dame potentially jumping up there to take the spot.
If Notre Dame runs the table, they're a playoff team, in my opinion, because their 2 losses are probably 2 of the best losses you could have.
Right.
I mean, you lost to a Miami team who just lost their first game, and you lost to Texas A&M, who's still undefeated, and has a pretty decent shot of going to the SEC championship game.
Right.
So Notre Dame is they're coming around to what we thought they'd be. I think it's just a lot more of just their quarterback growing up from the first few games, and new offensive coordinator getting implemented, and defensive coordinator, I believe. No, same offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And they're finally hitting their stride. So got to look out for Notre Dame in the long run here.
Yep.
And if you're watching this live right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We need your support. We want your support, and it helps us out. Okay. Next game was a shocker, in my opinion. I was shocked. I don't know if anybody else was shocked. Arizona State beats Texas Tech. Ruins Street's dream of Texas Tech BYU.
I know. it ruined that was going to be that on this big game, these rising teams, undefeated late in the season. But like you said, it was shocking. Texas Tech came back, taking a lead there, but Arizona State went down the field, scored a touchdown. Texas Tech still had a little bit of time left, and they were able to get down into close to the red zone, I think, or at around the 20 or so. But their last second effort came up short. Now, the one thing here was Texas Tech was missing Baron Morton. He did not play. So everybody had said, oh, yeah, Cunningham, that's his name, right? Their backup. They were saying, he's really good. They missed Baron Morton in this game. And so.
Yeah, they did.
A 4-point loss on the road at the defending conference champion. I don't think this really hurts Texas Tech that much in the long run, but we'll see.
No, I mean, you still got to think they're the front runners to win the Big 12. So all their goals are still in front of them, as coaches like to say.
Yeah.
But it was a shocking defeat, especially after Arizona State, who is coming off just getting their ass kicked by Utah.
Right.
So let's talk about Utah. The Holy War.
The Holy War, the Jihad.
BYU and Utah.
Yeah, BYU comes back, gets the win.
Pulled it out.
Keeps that matchup that with Texas Tech alive. Now Texas Tech has lost, but still, kind of a good matchup to kind of set the conference in the right direction. Shout out to Bo Brockmeyer, quarterback at BYU, took over for Retzlaff. I just love the fact that the guy wears number 47 and plays quarterback.
That's ridiculous.
I just love it. And and he's kind of become the heart and soul of this team and forced in to be the starter late in the year.
Is that Robert Edwards back there? No, that's not him.
No. But yeah, good win for them. It's always fun to beat your in-state rival. So good win for them. Keeps them on track. It was funny when we did the grades for BYU last year and they had this good season last year and people were like, oh, that season was so good. It should be on BYU's Mount Rushmore of its best 4 seasons ever. And I was surprised because BYU won a national championship. But when I looked and did the research, it was like last year was one of their best years ever. And to lose their quarterback and stuff, I didn't expect a lot. But here they are again. We're late October and they're undefeated and looking like if they can avoid what happened last year when they got to like 9-0 and then they lost to Kansas and somebody else unexpectedly. They can avoid that, and BYU's got a shot to be a playoff team and potentially one maybe undefeated. So
Yep. All right, so before we're gonna get to our top 10, but before we get there, like this video, subscribe to the channel, be a friend, tell a friend, and we are going to unveil this week's latest Nitro CFB top 10. There we go. All right. At number 1, we say it every week.
To be the man,
you got to beat the man.
Ohio State won 34-0. They keep marching on. Julian Sayans completing 80% of his passes. They don't have anybody ranked left on their schedule. We'll see you in first week of December.
Yep. And at number 2, I think this is no surprise to anybody. Indiana. I think they were there last. No, Miami was number 2 last week, right? So they move up to the number 2 spot. A lot of people saying they should be number 1 based off of their resume, which to that I say Ohio State is still the defending national champions and they haven't lost and they're beating the crap out of people and they have a generational defense.
Right. Indiana, like Ohio State, has no ranked teams left on its schedule the rest of the way. So once again, we'll see you in early December as well.
Yep. Those are 2 teams that might have to play each other twice.
Yep.
At number 3, Alabama. They took care of business against Tennessee, broke out the cigars. Ty Simpson, leader in the clubhouse probably for the Heisman, maybe.
Yeah, they're playing the best football in the SEC right now. And you said it earlier, how the hell did they lose to Florida State? I have no idea. But their talent's there. They're a really, really good, solid football team. They're getting their pass rush going. They're great on offense. Jay Miller was back, so the running game, was good this week. And I thought we should move them up because Texas A&M struggled with Arkansas this week, and they've got LSU next week.
Yeah,
so
and
I think Bama is the cream of the crop right now.
I do too. And you got to look at who people have beat. So when you look at Texas A&M, they have one really good win against Notre Dame.
Right.
And it was at Notre Dame. So that's a really good win. But then you compare that to what Bama has done over the past 4 weeks.
Right.
And if you were to put them on a neutral site, I would think Bama would be favored.
I think Bama would be favored by almost a touchdown. At least.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
At number 5, we've got our Georgia Bulldogs. Big win this weekend over Ole Miss.
Yeah, huge win this weekend, kind of giving them an image of what they are. Offense is strong. Defense needs work, but definitely flawed. You can't kill them. They're the cockroach. They're going to be around.
Yep. Their only losses to Alabama by 3 points in a game that they should have won. They dropped a touchdown and some other things, but Georgia's got big wins this year as well. You got the win over Ole Miss. You got the win over Tennessee. I mean, it's a good resume so far, and got a lot more big games coming up too. It's looking like that old Georgia Tech, Georgia clean old fashioned hate's going to be a top 10 matchup for the first time in years.
It's going to be a doozy.
Yep. And then we got Oregon at number 6. The reason I wanted Oregon at number 6 is going back to the resume. Who have they beat?
Yeah.
They beat Penn State. That's their best win.
And now, don't discount that win at Penn State, though, because
I'm not discounting it too much, but compared to the teams that are in front of them, they don't
have much else. I'm just saying, some people are like, "Oh, Penn State sucks now." That's not a good win. No, that's crap. If Penn State would have won that game, I don't think Penn State's sitting here with James Franklin fired and having lost all these games in a row.
Agreed. No, I'm with you on that. I'm just saying, like, comparing resumes, they've got a good win over Penn State. I'll give them that, even though it's not looking great now. But the team ahead of them has more good wins.
Yeah, agreed.
Which, honestly, I think probably should put Miami above Oregon. Because, I mean, Miami has really good wins this year too. But they looked
bad.
They looked rough against Louisville, and they really haven't played well the past 2 games.
No, you throw in the Florida game where they didn't look
exactly
right offensively either. They've got some issues there, so I feel comfortable with them after Oregon.
Yeah, if they were to play, I would pick Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ole Miss drops to number 8, which is not any slight to them. I mean, they had every chance to win the game this weekend against Georgia. They have proven that we know that their offense was going to be great, but we didn't know it was going to be that great. With Trinidad Chambliss making his first road start in the SEC, played really great. Didn't have it at the end, but he got that experience, and that's just going to help them as they go throughout the season, and they could be a really dangerous team in the playoff.
Absolutely. They still have a really good shot to make the SEC championship game because they've got Oklahoma this week. After that, their schedule gets much easier. So they've got a good shot to finish the SEC play with 1 loss, and that probably because of their schedule and how it works out, they've got a good shot to potentially play, in Atlanta. So, well, they'll need a little help now that they have a loss, but because Georgia already has a loss to Alabama and has some tougher games ahead.
Yeah. And then at number 9, those pesky Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
They escaped Duke this weekend. Probably shouldn't have won.
I know we're Georgia fans, and I know this is going to sound like I'm just a hater. But is this team really that great?
They've gotten a lot of lucky bounces.
I mean,
they could have easily lost Saturday to Duke if not for the fumble that ended up getting returned for a touchdown. They could have easily lost that game to Wake Forest a few weeks ago.
The Clemson win looks worse and worse every week.
But they have nothing left. Nobody left on their schedule until they play Georgia at the end of the year.
I know.
And what do we know? What do we know about teams that maybe don't look as great and they have easy schedules, but because they win and they consistently win and they build confidence, what happens at the end of the year? They turn into pretty damn good football teams.
Not always.
In big conferences, they do. Look at
I don't know.
Indiana.
I mean,
Look at Indiana. Look at what they've become. And Tech plays hard, and they have a they have a tough coach. I don't know. This is one of those
good coach.
This is one of those debates. Like, do they pass the eye test as a great team? No. But they've got a hard-nosed quarterback who looks like he's going to die on the field every week, and they keep finding ways to win.
Yeah. Now, if they roll into Mercedes-Benz on Black Friday and beat Georgia, then
more power to them.
Yeah, then we know they're for real.
I mean, they roll into Mercedes-Benz on Black Friday weekend undefeated, and they're already in the ACC championship at that point. They're probably in the playoff. So
yeah, I think they would be. I mean, because I guess who else from the ACC? You'd have Miami.
Right now, the contenders is Miami and Virginia.
Maybe Louisville.
Virginia. Miami, Virginia, and Louisville, I think, are the other ones that are alive.
Yeah.
Now, Virginia came back and won. Virginia's up to around 15 in the rankings, too. So.
Yeah, they're actually turned out to be a pretty good team.
Yep. So maybe that win over Florida State wasn't a fluke.
No, especially after Florida State lost again.
Yeah.
Still don't get it.
Yep.
Just grinds my gears. Bama lost that game. And then cracking the top 10, Vanderbilt, your Vanderbilt Commodores, pride of Nashville.
They are
fighting Pavias, fighting Clark Lees.
As I said, they are 6-1 for the first time in 75 years. This last weekend against LSU, which they won the game, there was some statistic where it's the first time they'd been favored in an SEC game in years, in like lots of years.
Yeah.
And now they're an AP top 10 football team. So.
And I think they're a legit top 10 team. Their resume is okay. They got the good win against LSU, and they played better against Alabama than what the score showed. And I mean, they got a good thing rolling in Nashville right now, and I'm really looking forward to that matchup this weekend against Missouri, because that's another team that still has life in the SEC, and I think that will really show us where Vandy's at as a program.
Yeah, we're going to
follow up this big win with a win over another very good team.
Right. You're gonna have a lot of these games over the SEC in the next couple of weeks, kind of these elimination games for teams in terms of making it to Atlanta. This is one of them. Either Missouri or Vanderbilt will be out after this week. So.
Yep. So that's going to do it for our top 10. Where'd we go wrong? Tell us what your top 10 is in the comments. Tell us if we're crazy, if we're smart. Whatever it is, we want to hear from you. And if you love college football, subscribe. We drop this every week. Follow us on the socials, X, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, at Nitro CFB. We'll drop some clips every now and then, give you a good laugh. And look out this week for our week 9 predictions. It'll come out later. And until next time, I'm Burl.
I'm Streit.
Go Dawgs.
Go Dawgs.